very least, the Miami Dolphins, they got their groove back. They got their spunk back. And Katt, I don't know where you think it started, but I do know that it was reported before the Dolphins took on the Bills this weekend that they got rid of the Papa Shot. What Papa Shot? That Papa Shot. The one that was sitting in the midst of their locker room, apparently distracting players, apparently a nuisance because it wasn't allowing for guys to be locked into the game plan, locked into to the mission at hand. People like to try and compare football and whatnot to the to war, to the Army, to the Navy and whatnot. It's not that. Trust me. I mean, they work in unison, they play a violent sport, but it ain't that. But again, they weren't. Apparently, the Papa Shot was distracting them from the mission at hand, which was to win football games. You get rid of the Papa Shot, 30-13 win over the Bills.
Like, hey man, you want to come over here? We see how Drake May is a first-read quarterback. Nah, I'm trying to get the top score on the Papa Shot. Sorry, that'll wait for tomorrow.
Katt, the Dolphins stole a book out of our playbook. The Dolphins stole a page out of the ESPN West Palm playbook. Do you remember when we were in our old offices at Phillips Point Tower?
Yeah.
And we had a Papa Shot in the office, which, by the way, I didn't come into there was nary a day that I walked into that office and walked out back when we had a Papa Shot that I didn't get up at least 25 of them things.
Yeah, just got the work
seriously.
in. Yeah,
I used to literally, I couldn't leave, and that's the issue. Is you can't. First of all, you can't leave on a miss. Some days I was off, so sometimes that number will creep up to 50. And I used to have to make sure I still had it. The repetition of it all, the thrill of it all, it was fun in mundane times. When I needed to brainstorm, I would go over there and get some shots up. Like, Papa Shots are actually more distracting than people give it credit for.
Yeah, and they're also loud. So you hear when someone else is doing the Papa Shot?
Yes, and it attracts you to it.
Exactly. It's like, ooh, let's see who's putting up shots.
Now
okay.
you want to compete. Now you're like, hey, yo, let's see. Let's put like $5 on the line. 20 shots. You know, football players super competitive. So you got a Papa Shot in the locker room with a bunch of millionaires. You telling me they weren't also gambling on some of those shoot-offs?
So, these Miami Dolphins coming off a massive double-digit underdog upset win, or maybe 9.5-point underdog upset win over the Bills over the weekend, have cut out one of the distractions. Tyreek Hill is not in the locker room, so that was taken off their hands against their will. But maybe there were some positives to that in terms of distractions. Of course, they would like the prime Tyreek Hill back on their team. But it feels like they've got their swagger back.
They've got this.
When they wake up in the morning, they don't hit snooze. They are happy to go to practice. And we're just reading into minute details between the lines how Mike McDaniel carried his post-game celebratory and day after celebratory press conference. But the Miami Dolphins are no longer the joke of the NFL.
They're not. And they were. And we all thought this was going to be you know how there's a really good joke. Dave Chappelle is good at these. He's, to me, the most prolific, the most elite stand-up comedian in history. And I have a very limited lifespan. I mean, I'm no sure. Some people might like Richard Pryor. Dave Chappelle's my guy. When I think about the way in which he tells a lot of his jokes, there's a long setup. There's a runway. There are some mini laughs in between to get to the huge punchline. This past weekend was supposed to be the punchline.
Yeah.
This past weekend was supposed to be the bow on top of what was an absolutely horrendous football season, especially compared to expectations. They walked into that game 2-7. They were at home hosting the Bills, who they hadn't beat since 2022. And the Dolphins were a shell of themselves. They were supposed to be sellers at the deadline, but they actually only sold one dude. And the one dude they got rid of in Jalen Phillips, the moment he stepped off that plane in Philadelphia, he said, man, that was the best thing that ever happened in my life, getting away from them dudes.
You could even say it was supposed to be the punchline of 2023, 2024, and 2025.
This is true.
This should have been the exclamation point or the period, whatever you want to use, end of paragraph for summating the Miami Dolphins experience post-2022.
Especially given the opponent. The Buffalo Bills are the boogeyman. The Bills are the same team that hoist the reigning MVP, despite that should have been Lamar Jackson's trophy, the reigning MVP in Josh Allen, who strikes so much fear into Tua Tagovailoa's heart that he was praising him and heralding how great this man is and how he can do the unthinkable before their first matchup. This was the perfect stance because also for the Bills, it was a game they needed to win. It's a divisional game in the midst of a two-man race for the top of the AFC East where the Patriots have been throwing haymakers and already have a the head-to-head win over the Bills already. Like, it wasn't like this is one of those, the Bills didn't wake up for this thing. No. The Bills wanted it. They needed it. You could tell by Josh Allen's expression on the sideline that he was absolutely destitute. He was out of answers and out of luck. The Bills didn't get a first down until the third quarter. Josh Allen was getting shut down by a Dolphins team that just sold off their best pass rusher. It was incredible to watch. And you know what? Another thing about it, Katt, it reignited in some people, and we're going to get to my top 5 takeaways on this Top 5 Tuesday. It reignited some joy, some hope, a bit of pride into a fan base that was literally at its wit's end. That was the most important part of all of it. We're going to get to a top 5 takeaways from Bills Dolphins, 30-13. We wanted to do it yesterday, but the Dayball News kind of took over the show. That, to me, is so invaluable to give a spark back to your home fans, especially to do it at your home stadium and to do it against the boogeyman across the way. That was incredible.
Anyone who went to Hard Rock to watch that game felt vindicated. Like, okay, this is why you ride or die with your team. This is why you never give up, because they can give you moments like that even though it means nothing for the postseason possibilities, obviously the Dolphins are out of it, and it means nothing for really the future going forward in terms of the players maybe, even though A-Chain had a great game.
Oh, he was electric. Great is an understatement. 174 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was everything.
This is why you fan.
Yeah.
This is why you fan, and this is why there are 32 teams in the NFL that have diehard fans, because everyone has their day. Any Dolphins fan who maybe rightfully gave up on this team and took any emotional stake, any emotional skin in the game when it comes to Dolphins NFL Sundays, anyone who removed themselves and disassociated with that team for the end of this season regretted not watching.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, ooh, I wish I watched that game.
They missed it.
They beat the Bills. Exactly. They missed the high point of the Dolphins season.
Yeah.
That's why you fan. Yeah.
This was the Dolphins Super Bowl. And I don't say – a lot of times when I talk about the Dolphins, people criticize me and say that I am being condescending and say that I am like talking tongue-in-cheek about their favorite team. No. I'm kind of just being honest and being real. I don't hate the Dolphins. I don't love the Dolphins. I want them to do well because we cover them and we talk about them, and it's more fun when they're fun. So I'm rooting for you guys to enjoy your Sundays, Thursdays, and Mondays. By the way, did not enjoy this past Monday. Last night's game felt like a Thursday night football game. That's 2 straight stinkers in prime time between the Thursday night game that we had the top of Week 10 and the way that we finished it. As good as Week 10 was as an NFL whole, Thursday and Monday, the open and the close, both we could have done without. So not talking much Eagles-Packers here, if that's what you came to theoretically speaking for today. Sorry. Congrats to the Eagles for getting the win. Back to the Dolphins. This was their Super Bowl for the year. The general manager already got fired. Mike McDaniel is coaching for his job week in and week out at this point, and he inspired the fans. He proved to his owner, Stephen Ross, that he could get over that hump, get that chip off his shoulder, get that monkey off his back. And we have our guy L in the YouTube chat at ESPN South Florida. We got L saying, Theo, that's disrespectful. Quote, this is their Super Bowl. He's laughing. L thinks this is funny. Well, guess what, L? If it's disrespectful for me to say that this was the Dolphins Super Bowl, is it more disrespectful to say that the Bills already won their Super Bowl last week? That's what I feel. Both of these teams in consecutive weeks won their Super Bowl. The Bills beating the Dolphins, that is going to be the high point of their year. That is going to be the thing that sets back a divisional rival. They played spoiler. They also proved that they have fight in them and that they're going to play for their head coach. The Bills last week, they rode an emotional high because they thought the Bills Mafia is back because they got to win over the Chiefs. And that's what they do in the regular season. That's their Super Bowl. When Josh Allen gets to face Patrick Mahomes in the regular season, it brings out the best in him. That was it, and he won. And congratulations. We know how this story is going to end. For the Dolphins, that was your Super Bowl, and I will say congratulations because you won it. You have to celebrate the small wins. You do have to celebrate the small wins. We're going to do a Top 5 Tuesday here top 5 takeaways from Dolphins Bills. Before we do that, I want to get your takeaway. What is your number one takeaway from Dolphins v. Bills? Let us know on the Baptist Health Hotline, 888-760-3776. 888-760-3776. Preferably Dolphins fans, but I'll take anyone who has a strong feel on what you took away from Dolphins Bills as the Fins win 30-13.
Couple Bills bars down here, and they wouldn't be supported without some fans from Western New York.
Of course. There's a lot of Buffalo love out this way.
Oh yeah, we saw them, and maybe someone on the Dolphins staff saw them at Elbo Room.
We're gonna get to that. 888-760-3776. 888-760-3776. Call into the Baptist Health Hotline and welcome to being treated like a pro. The Dolphins, they treated the Bills like unwanted house guests. They ragdolled them boys. At Baptist Health Orthopedic Care, no, they treat you well. They don't treat you like an amateur. They don't treat you like somebody that just has hobbies and activities and not professional sports to get back to. They welcome you to pro-level orthopedic care at Baptist Health. From sports injuries to everyday aches, our expert team delivers the same advanced care trusted by the pros. The ones you watch on Thursdays, Sundays, and Mondays. The ones you watch on the hardwood in basketball, on the ice in hockey. No, Baptist Health, they treat the pros with their expert level care, and they'll give you that same level of care to get you back to the life and the activities that you love. Learn more at baptisthealth.net/ortho. That's baptisthealth.net/ortho. Welcome to being treated like a pro. 888-760-3776. That is the Baptist Health Hotline. We tip things off here on a Top 5 Tuesday with Roosevelt in West Palm Beach. Roosevelt, before we get going, I have to know where you stand here. Are you a Dolphins fan?
Born into it, my friend. 41 years a Dolphins fan.
Well, you know what? We love that for you. Congratulations. I guess, because you just won your Super Bowl. You won your Super Bowl this year by beating the Bills in Week 10. Do you take that as offensive, or do you agree that this was a huge win for the Dolphins this year?
So you guys are looking at it from a different side. As a lifelong fan and witnessing 20-plus years of missing playoffs, all this did was give us a terrible draft pick.
Oh, Roosevelt!
Win, cool, but really we shouldn't have won the game, to be honest. Like, this just puts us in purgatory like we've been in.
You know what?
We'll get a high 20, high 15, pick a lineman, trade him after 2 years, and then we'll be in the same position.
I'm glad you called in, Roosevelt. I really am glad you called in, because I was kind of, picking up what Theo was putting down. But again, Roosevelt, you said it best. The perspective is Theo's, where Theo's not a Dolphins fan. So yeah. Theo, if he was in your shoes, Theo's Mr. Tank for next year guy.
Yeah.
And Roosevelt, I think you might be right here, where it doesn't look like Tua's the long-term answer if you were to ask anybody right now. So, yeah, I think that the Dolphins would like better draft capital in exchange for a meaningless, in the grand scheme of things, Week 10 win, right?
That's not meaningless.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it means something. Obviously, we'd like to beat a division rival, but, I mean, let's be honest. Our management is not the best track record. We don't have well-put positional players right now. I mean, honestly, get rid of everybody. Get rid of Reek, get rid of Waddle. Let's get all new guys in. Let's do what the Lions did 4 or 5 years ago.
Fire sale. You know what, Roosevelt? I'm not mad at you about that. I appreciate the call. You are good people, and I'm not against what you're saying. I am pro-tank, especially when you are a team that knows your season is over. Improve your draft, your draft status, get the highest pick you can, and that way you can improve your team. But like Roosevelt just said, I don't think it matters where the Dolphins are picking. They're going to screw that thing up anyways. What are we talking about?
Well, that's unfair.
The Heat draft well. I say that for the Heat because I know they draft well. The Dolphins don't draft well, so you know what? Screw it.
But you got to think about how many Dolphins season ticket holders there are.
Yeah, it's a lot of them.
You got to give them.
I have buddies that are season ticket holders.
You gave them that, what was it, Thursday Night Football? Monday Night Football against the Jets? Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Monday night. Yeah, that was Monday night against the Jets.
They gave them that Monday Night Football win against the Jets at home. Thanks for being fans. Thanks for giving us your money to watch Dolphins football. Here's the win against a divisional opponent. And you know what? Here's one that you didn't expect you were going to get against the Bills.
But what do teams do after they win the Super Bowl, though, C-Cat?
They raise their prices.
No, they go on vacation.
Oh.
I am not advocating for the Dolphins to turn their season around and win out enough to make them on the precipice of the playoffs, but not really, and picking the 15 to 20 range. No. Now you got me wrong, Roosevelt, and all other Dolphins fans that are listening. What I'm saying is you just won the last game on your calendar that you needed to win. You just won the Super Bowl. Congratulations. Celebrate. In fact, C-Cat, what is the tradition that we do here in South Florida for our professional sports teams after you win the Super Bowl? Where do people like to go and hang out at, as according to our Florida Panthers?
Where?
The Elbo Room.
Oh, that's right.
And Mike McDaniel, following winning his Super Bowl, he, by the way, lives in the area around where the Elbo Room is, was allegedly spotted outside of the Elbo Room, window down, arm hanging out of the window, peering over at the Elbo Room's fan base. Because a little known fact about the Elbo Room, when it's not the celebratory spot for the Florida Panthers following Stanley Cup championship wins, it's actually a hangout spot for Buffalo Bills fans when Buffalo comes to town. Do we have Mike McDaniel responding to the allegations? Because there's a picture on Twitter of him right outside of Elbo Room staring down Bills fans and Bills Mafia. Here is Mike McDaniel clarifying whether or not it was actually him.
Well, that's why I like the good old days, the throwbacks of yore where you could trust, the internet and the images, because, it is pretty detailed. I do live in that area, but, AI, right?
So that doesn't answer the question.
What?
Was that you?
So are you confirming or denying?
I live in that area. AI is real. That's what I got for you.
Okay.
That was him, right? Like, that's what we take away from that?
Oh, yeah, it was definitely him. Mike McDaniel definitely went over to taunt Bills fans at Elbo Room in Fort Lauderdale.
I like that. Like, you might not even be long for this job. And again, that's why, look, you don't do that kind of thing if it didn't matter to you in a very hearty way. You don't do that kind of thing also if you are a person who feels you are bigger than that moment. It is a regular season win for a team that is not going to make the playoffs. But it happened against the Bills, who have trashed you, who have talked down on you, who make fun of you, who ridicule you, do we have James Cook? James Cook was on a DraftKings show. James Cook, running back for the Bills, South Florida native. You may know him from his older brother, Dalvin Cook. Yeah, that same James Cook. He's one of the most prolific backs in the NFL. He is the heart and soul of that Bills offense outside of Josh Allen. As he goes, the Bills go. Well, in this game, James Cook got cooked. The Bills bottled him up. They forced a pivotal fumble on him that really shut the Bills' chances out from being able to come back. That was a big gain he had, and that fumble turned the thing back around in the Dolphins' favor. So he was really one of the GOATs in a negative way of the Dolphins-Bills game. Here was James Cook earlier this year on a DraftKings podcast, I believe, talking about the Dolphins. Now, mind you, before we play this, he did not say the Dolphins were trash, but he was asked a question that led him into answering with the Miami Dolphins. So I want you to hear specifically what the host asks James Cook and his response to the answer, which tells you exactly what he thinks about Tua Tagovailoa, that Dolphins defense, and everything that comes in and around Miami Gardens, Hard Rock Stadium.
How well does James Cook know James Cook? What was the first game in your career you rushed for more than 100 yards? You remember? Big game.
Give me a hint.
This team is trash.
The Dolphins?
Immediately.
No.
And it wasn't even the Dolphins. It was the Browns. He went straight for the Fins.
Yeah.
This team is trash, the Dolphins.
Word association game. Like you were, if there were a psychologist, like, Theo, what does trash mean to you? Dolphins. Bang. Immediately.
And on the other side of the ball, Devon Achane, 22 carries, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns. James Cook, 13 carries, 53 yards. If you think that the Papa shot in the locker room wasn't replaced by this quote from James Cook in that locker room, then you are gravely mistaken. I think the Dolphins took this one personally. I believe that they did view this as a must-win game, a game they had to show out and play hard in, and they did just that. 30-13. They don't need to win another game rest of season. Before I give my top 5 takeaways, because I do want to get a top 5 Tuesday in here, let's look at what the Dolphins have going forward. You have the game in Madrid against the Commanders. All right, lose it somehow, some way, and blame it on jet lag. That is my game plan for Miami if they want to figure out how to get out, because they should beat the Commanders at this point.
Yes, they definitely should. They are 2.5-point favorites. Daniels won't be playing in that game.
Yeah, but you can't win that game. This is a game this is an excusable loss because you can always blame it on jet lag, blame it on the trip. Then you're back home against the New Orleans Saints. This, as much as the Bills was a must win, this is a must lose.
After the bye.
After the bye on November 30th, because you are going up against the Saints, who are, technically speaking, you're one game ahead of in the standings, but you're one game back of them in the Tankathon standings. So the Saints are a 2-win team. The Dolphins are a 3-win team. You lose that game, they have the head-to-head over you, and you both have 3 wins, and you are in great standing to get the number 1 overall pick. So, again, that's why the Bills game can be your Super Bowl, because you can win that, have 3 wins, and still be well-positioned. Oh, who's that after the Saints? Is that the New York Jets on the road? Are we talking about a December 7th game at the Meadowlands? If that's not an excusable loss, I don't know what is. This is what the Dolphins do.
Is Aaron Glenn going to be the head coach at that point?
Yeah, he's I think Aaron Glenn finishes the season with the Jets.
They did recommit to him, if I recall correctly, after last week's game.
Plus, the Jets screwed up by beating the Browns last week. So the Jets are another 2. So now you have back-to-back games against 2-win teams, and you're a 3-win team. All right? Here's the thing. I'm giving you the game plan. I'm giving you the roadmap, Dolphins fans. And I hope you're listening, Stephen Ross, Mike McDaniel, a champ, new interim GM. I hope you're listening. This is the game plan. You're at the Jets. It's cold. Just trot Tua out there, do what you always do, and lose that game in December. All right? No disrespect, but I'm talking about things that you already do anyways. It's your character. Next week, at the Steelers. I believe this is a short week as well. I think the Steelers game is a Thursday night football.
It's a Monday.
Oh, it's a Monday.
And Steelers always win at home on Monday Night Football. That is a loss already.
It's Monday Night Football?
Yeah, December 15th.
Okay. At the Steelers, it'll be cold again. Excusable loss. Nobody will blink. You're not going to get investigated by the FBI. Trust me. You come back home, you play against the Bengals December 21st. Joe Burrow's going to be back, right?
Yeah, it'll be post-Thanksgiving. He said Thanksgiving-ish in terms of Joe Burrow's return. He'll be playing.
Joe Burrow will be back. He'll be warm. It is Sunday Night Football. It is prime time at Cincinnati. They're going to be doing all of the Joe Burrow stories, and America's going to be so wrapped up in the celebratory, oh, my God, Joe Burrow, he's back in prime time.
Run the table.
Cares. Run the table. Remember last year, their stretch at the back end when they tried to get into the playoffs?
He was an over's dream.
This is it. This is it right here. Perfect scenario. Matter of fact, losing a shootout, nobody's going to blame you. Fantasy football managers are going to love you. The nation will love you for putting on a good display on Sunday Night Football. Perfect. So now you're still a 3-win team, and you have the tiebreak.
Sunday Night Football is notorious for the gamblers out there for the get back, right? Oh, yes. I lost big in the 1 o'clock slate. Oh, I lost again in the 4 o'clock slate. Let's chase this to high hell. Bet the over and root for points.
That is going to be such a Bengals Dolphins. So that is going to be the over is going to be like that's 90% of the public. Last 2 games of the season. Reminder: still a 3-win team, still positioned right now for the number 1 pick. Last 2 games of the season, the Buccaneers at home. Guess what? The Bucs at that point, they should be needing that game to lock up the NFC South.
Yeah, we saw the
17.
Eagles get a win last night. Yeah. There is going to be a number 1 seed race.
I like that game for the Buccaneers. You don't even again, these are games I don't even need you to tank. The tanking comes earlier. It's Saints Jets that you got to focus on, and the Commanders in Spain. If you can get these next 3 games down, the rest of the schedule takes care of itself because you end the season at Foxborough against the New England Patriots, who likely, if the Bills get their stuff together, if you didn't break their spirit with that win, because Josh Allen does look broken if you see the images from the sideline, they likely will need to win that Week 18 game to ensure the division crown. And maybe even at that point, as easy as the Patriots schedule is, that might be a game for the number 1 seed. They're 8-2.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like we tried to write off the number 1 seed to the Colts at one point. No. They're tied atop the AFC right now.
So, Theo, you started this show in this segment talking about how big of a win this was for the Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
How this was a Super Bowl of the season win for the Miami Dolphins, but now you're saying they need to try to lose out.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly how Super Bowls work, though. When you win the Super Bowl, you go on vacation.
Season's over. Can they bring the Pop Shop back?
Yes. Yes.
All right, good.
Bring the Papa Shop back. You know who else is undefeated since taking video games out of their locker room?
Who?
Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
Baltimore Ravens. Since Lamar Jackson said, get them damn video games and TV screens out of here, they've won 3 straight.
And that is definitely causation, not correlation. Nothing else has changed in the past 2 weeks with the Baltimore Ravens except for
video games.
Video games being removed from the locker room.
Yeah. I guess Patrick Ricard came back too, I guess.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. That's just my solution for the Miami Dolphins. The only issue you're going to have is the Browns also have 2 wins, and you don't play them again. But they have the Titans. So the Browns and the Titans play each other, so one of them has to win.
The Browns are going to win a game they shouldn't.
Yeah, they are.
That's going to happen.
You know what it's going to be? Week 18 at the Bengals. That's going to be how the Bengals miss the playoffs. The Bengals are going to get this close to winning, to making the playoffs, and it's going to be Shedeur Sanders versus Joe Burrow. And somehow, some way, Kevin Stefanski's going to coach that team into a win that they had no business getting. That's exactly how the season ends.
In Cincinnati, there'll be snow falling.
That's going to be a beauty. That is going to be a beauty, and it's going to be a hate watch for so many around the nation.